Is it fair for female athletes to compete against women that used to be men, that were biologically men and would have, especially, for example, in combat sport, as you can see on the screen, would have some advantages that could be dangerous in a sporting context?
I think you need to be trained to be strong enough. So there will be female who takes a lot of training and will be much stronger than male and other men. But to be truly honest, I might think that it might be unfair because they might be physically stronger. But that also depends on how much training they get.
So what do people do then? People that have gone through this procedure, they can't compete against men anymore. Look at this tall. Where do they go? Do we have a separate category in the Olympics, or what do we do?
Well, it's very difficult, to be honest. I think we have to treat them as they wish, but then the decision will be quite difficult after all. I think you have to take also the other side of whether the other side of in the competition would agree to take the competition with them or not. I'm not sure.
Should they be obliged to tell everyone that they are a former man? Someone in the comments is saying in MMA, no way. Because the other argument is, and if you watch the footage that I've put in the background, the experts are saying these individuals who have gone through the treatment, who are on hormone blockers, they have the same testosterone levels as a woman.
Yeah.
So the advantages that men have been taken away. That's their argument.
I don't know what to say on that, to be honest, because to some point I'd feel it's quite unfair where to set them in the society, you know? Do they have their own category? Do they, just fight? I mean, especially when you say MMA and things like this, a fight against.
So why not just have a category then? Because we have sports with there's sports with weight categories. In the Paralympics, there are different categories of ability and disability. I remember watching the Paralympics in 2012. You had the Class B sprint or whatever it is. There's different degrees of disability, and they categorize it. Why not just do something like that and have a category for transgender women?
They might not be happy to be called transgender women and treated differently. They might just want to be treated just like any other woman, don't they?
They might want to be, but I might want to be identified as a heavyweight, but I'm not. I can't just get in the ring with a heavyweight, or a heavyweight can't get in the ring with me. If they identify as being 75 kilos, sports do have categories.
Yes, but what we see in our society nowadays, especially in the UK where we live, they're trying to make everything equally for both men and women, so they don't have to separate transgender from the picture.
Look at that. That's a former boy beating up a girl.
Yeah, but like nowadays, you have most of the toilets will turn into a toilet for both gender.
Do you think so?
Well, they've already started doing that, and I'm seeing it happening already in a lot of restaurants and cafes where the toilets are for both gender, so they don't have to feel, transgender don't have to feel where do they fit in, you know? So they're trying to make the toilets open for everybody, for both gender. So the society here is already working towards that.
How do you feel about that? An open toilet?
I'm not happy about open toilet, to be honest, because I just feel like hygienic reason. I think females should have their own toilet and men should have their own toilet. So I'm not quite comfortable.
Are men not hygienic?
Not all the time. Sorry to say.
So that's men's problem. You deal with it.
Not really, but I feel like, you know, you still you need your own privacy, and I don't think you should be sharing the same toilet for health and hygienic reason.
Well, if everyone had their own cubicle, then surely the toilet doesn't matter, does it?
If everyone had their own toilet?
Yeah. Or we can just have 3 toilets, one for...
Well, yeah, just like how we have a toilet for male, female, and another for disabled people.
Yeah.
We respect disabled people. We can have another toilet for people who wish to use the same toilet, so they don't know where to categorize themselves by male or female.
So how many toilets do we need? 3?
I think we need 4.
4?
Yeah.
Men, women, people unsure, and what's the 4th one?
Disabled.
Disabled, okay. That's the thing, I mean, and disabled people have been having a gender-neutral toilet for years. There's never a men's disabled toilet and a women's disabled toilet.
You're right.
Is that something unfair?
It's been, yeah.
Towards disabled people? I mean, they have a gender as much as anyone else, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think...
But...
They should also have... Maybe we should have 5 toilets then.
5 toilets. We're running out of toilet. The country's already running out of toilet paper, and now we're going to run out of toilets as well.
Yeah, but talking about sports, I think you are right. It's a fair point to mention, especially when it comes to MMA or boxing or things that involves fighting and physical strength. And naturally, men will have more power than female. You know, they would be physically stronger than female.
What are there any sports where men and women could compete together and it wouldn't be a problem?
Has there any other sports that you've seen that men and women competing against each other?
For example,
in the Olympics, as an example? No,
but for example, should chess be separated into men? But I'm not sure if chess is, in fact. I mean, what's wrong with a man playing a woman at chess? Does the man have any advantages?
I don't think so.
I believe there is a sport, there is an event. I wonder, does anyone know it? And if you do, give me a call on 07 491 751 203. Which is the sporting event that women can beat men at? Or I think the female world record is better than the male world record. Any idea? Are you trying to cheat on the quiz?
Is it dancing?
That's a good guess. No, no, it's not dancing. Which sporting event do females do better at than males? Apparently there is one. And the other argument is some people say our sports are very male focused, so we reward characteristics that males generally have a better ability in, but maybe in something like gymnastics, women might be more agile, might be more flexible, but men and women don't compete against each other in gymnastics.
Yeah.
Maybe women would beat men at that. That's not the event that I was thinking of. So is it just that we are male-centric? I mean, some races excel in certain sports, in certain events over others. Are we going to start putting different races in different events? I've never seen a white guy in the final of the 100 metres, or a Chinese guy, or an Indian guy. The 100 metres final every year is dominated by black people of West African origin and a lot of Caribbeans. Does that mean that there should be a separate sprint event?
I don't think so.
Then what? Then why do we separate men and women into different events?
Because men and women have different strengths, different abilities.
But so do the races, apparently.
Yeah, but then, like you give a chance to other people to compete, isn't it? I mean, some countries would be trained to run a lot and are conditioned to deal with heat, and so they are more capable of winning in races than swimming, for example. So give them the chance to win. Why not? Like, why give them a category? I don't think that's quite fair, to be honest. But I think it is fair to have separate for men and women in sport due to physical strength, not to.
So, race. Men are faster than women, right?
You saying that?
Oh, is that? Let's take running for one example, right?
Okay.
100-meter sprint. Men are faster than women on average.
Okay.
In the 100-meter sprint, right?
Yes.
So the men have one event, and the women have another.
Okay.
Fair? We'll come back to transgender in a minute. On average, it is black people of West African descent who dominate the sprinting.
Yes.
Who are faster than the other races. Should we have another category for races?
And what would you call it?
Called what? It'd be the white 100-meter sprint, the brown 100-meter sprint, the black 100. I don't know.
This is when it gets racist.
Well, it's okay. We naturally. I mean, I don't really think this is a good idea, but I'm just trying to play devil's advocate. If we separate men and women, because the men are better than the men the men are stronger than the women based on a biological difference.
Yeah.
Then why would you not separate the races? Or is that just we have a knee-jerk negative reaction to that because of the horrors of racism and all the terrible racism things that racism has done? But sexism has done a lot of bad.
Surely, as well, yeah.
Transgender phobia is harmful and is harming people. So why are we not letting these transgender women feel like women? Although, well, clearly we are, but we are saying that we shouldn't.
Well, we're only saying maybe it's unfair. We're not saying we shouldn't, because we didn't say no, clearly, but we just said that it might be unfair due to the ability that she might have, he might have had, and now she does not. Like, I don't know. This is a very hard topic, to be honest, and like saying it out loud might upset a lot of people who are transgender.
Of course. Yeah.
And we're not being unfair. We're just trying to discuss it from different point of views. What do you have?
In the comments, Triple T has said, black people are faster because they eat the best food and don't get plastered every weekend. Maybe. And HK Stocks is saying a category for people who smoke weed and those that don't, seeing as the greatest Olympian ever loved to smoke. And Envy is saying requires an overhaul of the Olympic regime at a grassroots level. It's traditional at this point to have a men's category and a women's. Yeah, it is, and it's been around for a long time. I don't think we're not gonna change anything real soon. But I do find it interesting that we have things like the Paralympics. They don't have a problem with categorising people into different levels of ability. Do you remember Oscar Pistorius, a South African athlete, amputee, Paralympian, raced in the Paralympics against other people who'd also lost limbs, but he would also compete in the Olympics as well. on his blades. He used to call him Blade Runner. And before he tragically murdered his fiancée on Valentine's Day, he was a great athlete before he made a terrible mistake. And people were actually wondering, would it be an advantage? We got a caller.
I have a caller.
Not a caller. Do they want to be on the show? People were wondering, could it be an advantage for him to have these prosthetic limbs? And it's difficult to calculate what would be an advantage, what would be a disadvantage. And there is a female athlete, again, I think she's South African, Caster Semenya, who has unusually high elevated levels of testosterone. And a lot of people have questioned whether or not she is a woman or is she a hermaphrodite, and she went through a lot of very embarrassing and degrading gender tests to find out, is this person actually female? And I believe she is a female and should be competing with the women, and the fact that she has high levels of testosterone is just something that she's been blessed with. Just as you could have unnaturally long legs, or some people are just incredibly beautiful, and it's it's a gift from God. There's nothing other people, the rest of us, can do anything about. But that's the thing. Sport is about going that. What can you do to get a slight advantage over your opponent? The 100 meters is won by 0.1 of a second. And I made the sweeping statement earlier on, and Triple T was saying in the comments that black people are faster than white people. That's not actually true. What is true is that the very fastest people in the world happen to be black.
Yeah.
And the fastest black man in the world might only be 1% faster than the fastest white man. But when you're dealing with the very, very, very top end of athleticism and sport, you're dealing with the top 0.0001% of people. Usain Bolt is, he's not one in a million, he's one in 7 billion. Have you seen that advert? Yeah, there's an advert. I don't want to talk about it, but there's an advert with Usain Bolt in it, and there's a couple of other guys in there as well. Well, we haven't heard from Mac tonight. I thought Mac would be joining us, but he has not. If anyone else does want to get in touch, the number is on the screen. Tarek is asking, is the sport that women are better at kick-ups? How many kick-ups can you do?
A very personal question.
It's a very personal. Do you know what it is?
What is kick-ups?
It's how many times can you kick the football in the air and it comes back down?
Oh, not many, I would say.
I was terrible. I was never good at football. I'll be honest. I've never played for a team. I'm not. And when you're a young lad, football is the sport.
Why do you think female women in general, or girls, and even when they are younger, much younger in age, they're not encouraged in sport as much? I mean, now we can see it happening, but back in the days it wasn't encouraged as much. Like, why is sport isn't really out there for women as much as it's there for men? Apart from nowadays, we see the increase.
Like, boys are naturally more aggressive than females. They have a higher level of testosterone, which is a hormone that brings with it aggression, and because of that stereotype, that gets generalized. Of course, there are girls that are really into sport and they end up getting called tomboys.
Yeah.
Because they exhibit the stereotypical trait of the male. You get boys that are more into ballet or whatever, like Billy Elliot, who are probably mocked and seen as effeminate, or even might get homophobic abuse. These are stereotypes, but everything comes in waves, and we've gone from being very. Oh, here we go. We've got a call. We're calling back. Being very, very much one way, then it goes back the other way, and that's just the pendulum. Hello, who's this?
It's Mac. How are you, bro?
Mac, welcome. You're through to myself and Dardasha, and this is a topic that I wanted to get your opinion on. So thank you for joining us.
Hello.
Yeah, no worries. Hi there. How are you, Dasha?
Good, thank you. Good to have you in the show today as well. Give us your thoughts.
Well, the thing is, don't transgender people also need to take hormone therapy, like to try and, because if it's a guy trying to be a female, doesn't he need to have hormone replacement or therapy or something they call it?
Yes, they do. But the argument is that once they are going through that therapy, their testosterone levels will be the same level on average as a woman, a cis woman, to use the terminology.
Yeah, so that I mean, that should kind of counterbalance it out in a way. But again, it falls under the category. I mean, it's not doping in such a way, but you're still trying to. But I mean, I don't know. It's a bit unfair unjust for female. But then again, didn't Billie Jean and the actual? I'm talking about the tennis player. Have a match with a guy.
Lover. Did it? Yes.
Sorry?
Who did she have a match with? They made a film about it.
Yeah. Billie Jean. I think she was the first like female and male competition, and she actually won. She actually beat the guy. That's why she's well known. I think that's what happened. But so there is the battle of the sexes. It's not unseen, but. It's just.
Wasn't that the exception that proves the rule? And that's why she's famous, and that's why it's memorable. If you did that 100 times, the men would win 99 times. I'm guessing.
But it depends on skill. I mean, I personally, I don't know if you watched the Angela Lee, the thing that I was showing you. Like, I personally, I think she's a lot more skilled, like, in UFC. Like, that's a UFC. Like, this is completely supposed to be a man-driven sport, but no. I mean, the other night, Israel Adas, whatever his name is, was facing Romero, and you know what? Everyone was thinking it's going to be a crazy fight, but the two women ended up having the sickest fight of the UFC history.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Very often, the lightweights and the middleweights are much more skilled than the heavyweights. And the women might be more skilled than the men. But weight categories exist for a reason. And male and women categories in combat sport exist for a reason as well.
I agree. This goes back to the I'm not saying that Adam's misogynist, but it goes where Lilith, like, this is the same argument that would go back to.
Go for it. I'm just going to inform the viewers that might not know. Lilith, do you know who Lilith is? No. Is the other wife of Adam, right?
The original first wife of Adam.
Before Eve, there's a woman called Lilith.
Okay.
Yeah, and basically, God created. Basically, there was the story in the secrets of the Bible hidden in the Vatican vaults or somewhere. Yeah. Apparently, what's happened is like Adam, because there's one verse that says God created man and woman from mud. So this is where Lilith's story. Everyone was saying, Lilith was created, and Adam tried to say, I'm like the far superior, like, species kind of thing, and she was like, no, I disagree. We're both made from mud. So then she was banished, and then obviously God then made Eve from the rib of Adam. So then, therefore, Eve had no choice but to not like subdue herself, but like you see the idea behind what I'm saying.
So Eve had she had to be subservient to Adam, or what?
Well, she knows that if it wasn't for his rib, that she wouldn't have been there in that instance.
Yeah,
but the arrogance of Lilith was, well, no, you've got your ribs. I'm here without your rib. You see what I mean? So we're equal, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas it kind of scaled the balance for Adam's case a bit better against Eve being made from his rib. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And Envy in the chat is saying this is according to Jewish scripture, the story of Lilith. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So this is why they say that in one scripture, God says He made man and woman from mud, but then again, there's another verse saying that He made Eve from Adam's rib. So it's not so much it's contradicting itself. There's some missing files or missing parts of it that we don't know.
Yeah, that's right. In the Quran, is it Hawa is made from the rib?
In a way, I think because you see, I think the way Lilith is portrayed is Iblis, or because everyone submitted or prostrated towards Adam, except Iblis. So that leaves the question: is Iblis the same as Lilith, who didn't want to prostrate or submit herself to Adam as God?
Interesting. So this Lilith character could be, and Lilith is not mentioned in the Quran, no?
No.
But it is meant. So it's mentioned in the Bible. She refused to obey Adam or prostrate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Prostrate or to submit herself to say, all right, you're the If we were to, like, for example, have I don't know, out of every 100 times we were to wrestle, I would win 99 times. Like
I'm sure you would.
It's not. I mean. You couldn't say he's misogynist, but like it's a kind of a mentality, if that makes sense.
And then the Iblis refuses to prostrate to Adam. It's interesting. I always find that strange because I would have thought you would only prostrate to God, yet God is asking the angels and Iblis to prostrate to Adam, and Iblis refuses. I'm sure there's some wisdom in it, but it's an interesting one.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, Quran has not come to change the religions. It's just come to reaffirm it and to. I mean, even everyone knows the Bibles have been tampered with, so the Quran was just to come to, give the whole story again, but in a way where it can't be tampered with. Apparently, that's the view of the Muslims, which is understandable because that's what the whole recitation Quran means to recite. But going off the subject, I mean, religion and transgender. This is one thing I don't get, because when it comes to religion, in a way, it's going to bump heads. But there's churches out there now, the gay churches and do you see what I mean?
Yeah. And
I'm sure there's going to be a transgender, but I don't know. It doesn't make sense, because it's not that I'm anti like transsexuals or anything like that, but it's just if nature's showing you that you can't procreate in that way, men with men, so it only just makes sense that you don't like you don't choose a life partner to be a man, because that's not the way that God or life or nature's created it. If that makes sense.
Yes, well,
so
this is more to life than
this is the message that religion brings.
Yeah.
And this is where.
But religion deals with norms, all right. But there will always be exceptions. Like you're not allowed to eat. You can't eat pork, but you can if you're starving and you're going to die. Every rule you've got, there'll be some weird little exception. And we like to be pedantic and say, yeah, but. And religion is just saying, look, generally it's this, generally it's this. I'm sure if people have a problem and they feel like they're a man when they're a woman, we can disagree with it, but we can still be kind to them. We can still try and facilitate them. I think we should give a special category in the Olympics. We've got a comment?
Yeah. Trouble T is saying prostration means show respect, not prostrate physically in it.
Okay.
And I agree with Trouble T here, because a lot of the things in the Quran sometimes are misunderstood because people understand it literally and not understand that it could also be, there's another meaning to it.
Like, so that's what I was trying to explain. It's not like Lilith, it's not exactly, it's not that she was wanted to worship Adam or prostrate on him, but the whole conversation was, are they equal? And Adam was trying to say, look, as a sex, whereas not. I'm like the hunter and you're like the homemaker kind of thing. But Lilith wasn't having it, obviously.
It's interesting. Look, Mac, last point I want to ask you before we wrap it up. It's going to be a short one tonight. What happens in the Islamic Republic of Iran if someone wishes to have gender realignment surgery?
The fact is, there's only one way around that, is to have the actual procedure done.
And as hardcore and as Muslim as they are, this is perfectly legal in that country, right? To have a sex change. In fact, as you say, it's the only option. If you are... You
might get like the odd case where hermaphrodites, are they called?
I believe so. That's people that are neither gender. And the Quran even mentions this, I think, or alludes to it when it says, and we made them sons or daughters, or some neither. There is a passage that alludes to something like that. And it's something in nature, so why would it not be mentioned? It's a very rare... It's a mutation.
But one thing I want to understand is, transgenders, they can be what they want to be. I mean, I'm happy for Katie Jenner or whatever his name is now, or her name, sorry. But giving that option to a child is not, I don't know, I can't see, I mean, at the end of the day, you're born in a way where you feel like you're a guy, but you're drawn to ballet and you're drawn to feminine stuff.
Billy Elliot.
Sorry?
Billy Elliot, I believe that's it in the film. He starts out doing boxing, but he really wants to be a ballerina.
Yeah.
Or but whatever the male equivalent is.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a mindset as well. At the end of the day, I believe it is, because the human body, whether you're male or female, if you can program it or train it or practice it, they can both achieve the same outcome or anything in life. Except, obviously, men can't give birth.
Absolutely. Not yet. Apart from Arnold Schwarzenegger. Look, Mac, it's a quick one tonight, so thank you for saving the show and jumping in. We appreciate it.
No worries. Anytime. It was interesting.
Thank you.
But, let me know if... By the way, have you lot been catching up with the coronaviruses and that?
Oh, man. Don't talk to me about coronavirus. All right.
Wait, I think I caught it. Oh my God! Why did you have to cough now? I caught it from you, bro.
Lucky you can't catch it through the camera.
You never know. You never know. But take care, bro.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you for your call, man.
All right, we got one more call before we go. Hello, who's this? Hello. Tarjim. Can you translate?
I think there's some sort of sound.
Have you got any words? Alright, this is instead of can we